Hello, AustinIRL here, and I'm going to be doing a gameplay review of Sophia today on Valorant. Unfortunately, Valorant does not have a demo system, so a lot of the times you'll catch me skipping to the beginning of the round, the middle of the round, or sometimes even the end of the round to point out any weaknesses I see or strengths you have also. So let's go ahead and hop into it. So we're going to be hopping into pistol round on the first half. Seems like a pretty basic A split, 3 up short, 2 bathrooms. Okay, so right here, it seems like you want to go for this orb already in bathroom, which is 100% fine. But it seems like you hesitate due to your teammate getting shot at. If you're scared or worried about your safety when you're grabbing the orb, your teammate initiated contact in bathroom, meaning she wasn't shot at by any other angle possible other than the one she's currently fighting. So for you, you're safe to grab that orb. You can grab it, no problem at all. If your teammate dies, though, that's when you'll maybe want to cancel it or hop off it if the person decides to push you, or if the person that was fighting your teammate is low, aka the enemy. At that point, if they're low, you probably want to hop off and try to trade them, because worst case scenario, you walk back and get the orb either way. With that being said, we'll continue with the round. So I'm going to go ahead and skip ahead a little bit here, since I've already watched this. Sorry, I went a little too far.
Actually, never mind. I'm going crazy.
One enemy remaining.
So I wanted to address your crosshair placement. You are constantly running around with your crosshair at the ground, which is a pretty bad habit. You should definitely be running around with your crosshair placed at like head level and constantly adjusting your crosshair to clear like corners, or whenever you're peeking something or whenever you're walking around, have your crosshair being where someone could be, like in front of you or maybe checking behind you, etc. And you knew that Silva was stuck in that corner right there. So when you came through the door, instead of aiming out to the right, you should just be aiming to your left coming through the door, because you already know he's there, right? So you should have your crosshair somewhat adjusted to his vicinity, so you know that your crosshair is there to line up and shoot with him already, instead of having to swipe all the way over there. Other than that, I just wanted to bring that up real quick. So we're going to be hopping into the first gun round here. Generally, whatever team wins pistol is going to try and use their guns from the second round to salvage another round and maybe even upgrade them. So it looks like another A split here. Two of you guys going bathroom. You get smoked out. No worries. Your teammate's already through.
Oh my god.
Okay, so you guys had a great start. You guys got pretty early bathroom control in the sense that you guys could see nobody was crossing, and your teammate was there to take any early fights if needed, right? So it's pretty hard to communicate, but right there you should try to follow your teammate as much as possible, in the sense that they're already running up to the bathroom, so you might as well run with them, because walking is just going to create more space between you two, which also lessens the chance of you being able to trade that person out if they're to die, which is what happens, unfortunately. So right here, I also want to recommend you either push the people that killed your teammate and see if you can get a kill yourself, or try to play your life and maybe escape through the omen smoke and back out bathrooms. Mostly because you have bomb, but also the place where you crouched was a very bad spot, because you're in the open, and the way it works in this game when you're peeking, the corners and ways to clear angles is a lot easier from a deeper range. And with that angle right there, they can see you before you can see them, which allows them to know you're there before you even know they're there, right? So all in all, definitely consider either taking the fight to them or trying to play your life with whatever you have around you to escape. AKA, this time around, it was the omen smoke. Next time around, it could be a brim smoke, or just simply getting out of there before they can even see you. Perfect. I really like to see that. So I like that you took awareness to nobody being on that side of the map, right? You split your attention between long B and outside hookah because you're not sure who's going to be there or if anybody's going to be there. So that's the purpose of doing it. Great awareness. Love it. My recommendation to you about it is try to have your crosshair focused outside of hookah rather than split between the two, just because your 3 teammates are already in front of you long right here. So if anybody's going to take initial contact, it's going to be them, and if anybody's going to die, high chances are it's going to be them, right? With that also being said, your crosshair being on the wall doesn't allow you to take a proper fight with the person pushing outside hookah if there is one, because if they're pushing outside hookah and your crosshair's on the wall, you have to react to them showing up on your screen and adjusting your crosshair all the way over to them. Just having your crosshair over there in the first place is going to make things a lot smoother for you, just so you don't have to adjust your crosshair, adjust your aim, or where you're standing, you know what I'm saying? You're just going to really want to be focused on that part because you can take a better fight with that person rather than maybe getting caught off guard, unfortunately. So, good awareness. Love to see it. Let's continue on.
That was a beautiful bait. I'm thinking right B or A.
Okay, so something I want to talk about here is I love the idea with the wall, right? For Viper to cut off hookah if you need to. A recommendation of mine would be look up some videos or go into a private server yourself and try to find up some lineups you can throw with your utility outside rather than when you finally get inside. That way, if you throw it from the outside and you use utility when you're coming in, you have ways of blocking off paths or angles that you don't want to fight, etc. And it also allows you to not have to set that stuff up, so when you come into sight, you can focus on fighting people that are in sight if they are there, right? Another thing I want to recommend too, you see how far your teammate is here and your teammate is here and they're not getting fought? So here's the entrance to CT and here's the entrance to back elbow from CT, or defender side I should say. So your teammate walled off defender side, meaning they have to break it to come no matter what, or TP, flank, and flank. So yeah, with your flanks being open, you're just generally going to want to position yourself in a place that's going to catch the opponent off guard or playing around the utility that's already set up for you. So with this trip being right here, you could play in the corner, you could play garden, you could do whatever you want around this trip to try and gain an advantage off of it, right? And hookah, not so much because this trip only defends the window. So you could play a multitude of angles holding this flank in hookah, right? But you're not limited to a lot of things. You have quite a range of being able to do stuff here. And it also helps out a little bit that your teammate's over at A and keeping them distracted. But your teammate at A cannot account for the people that are there and not there. So generally, you're just going to want to look at your flanks just so you don't get caught off guard, or maybe you're trying to save your gun and get killed on the way out, etc. There's a lot of situations you could run into, but overall, pretty well played round. Good to see, and let's continue forward. So we're going to be hopping into another gun round here. It's only 2 rounds ahead of where we were just last were, but nonetheless, looks like a regular bathroom hit with 4 people there.
The perfect lane, don't worry.
Alright, yeah, no, I believe you.
So I couldn't entirely tell right there if your spacing was bad when you were trying to walk into bathroom or if you were lagging, but if you weren't lagging, it's going to be hard to remember, but if you weren't lagging right there, try to walk in and clear a little bit of the area for your teammates so not everybody else is piled up behind you on a small corridor like that. And yeah.
Come on, let's go! Dude.
What, dude? Above the 25.
So something else I wanted to talk about is also try not to ADS as much as you do, because ADSing in this game is pretty bad compared to hip fire and general standards. When you ADS, your rate of fire goes down and your spray pattern actually changes. And yes, the spray pattern is a little bit better than hip fire, but it's also awkward to control. So I definitely recommend trying to hip fire a lot more than ADSing. But you can ADS with rifles at long range. That's the best. That's the best time to ADS is like from short A to heaven on bind, or long B bind. You know, just very long angles you can ADS is usually pretty good. But other than that, you should stick to ADSing on guns if you're using like an LMG or like the Bulldog because of the burst. But I'm sure you're used to ADSing right now, so just try to work on the habit of breaking it. You know, you don't have to try and just cut it cold, but you should definitely try to lessen it a little bit more, try to rely on your hip fire, and I think you'll see a lot more kills too from that. So it's about a round or two later. I just wanted to tackle something I saw real quick when I was watching over the video. Comes up here shortly, but I'm going to let you listen.
I'm not a liar, I promise.
I'm a big fan that you're fighting with your teammate here. That was very good to see.
That is so annoying. Like, why would he randomly just shoot that? Just go.
Joke's over! You're dead!
So right there, about 5 seconds prior to that, you heard the Phoenix running about right here. You heard him run down here, but you didn't pay attention to your map. So if you would have looked at your map, you would have noticed, oh, I don't have a teammate here. I can turn around and watch my flank. So there's that point, but also when you were starting to move out right here, you heard him pop his ult, and if you had looked at your map, you could have saw that, oh, that's not my teammate. I should turn around, you know? I just wanted to point that out real quick, but all in all, it was a good start. I like that you fought with your teammate very early on, so it's about a round later. It's a little bit into the round. Kind of skipped a little bit forward. Comes up here in a second, but it's really good to see that you're fighting with your teammates here, bathroom. Good positioning, and then right about here, and they kind of stand there. Maybe try to position yourself a little bit off them. See right here. Okay, this is what I want to talk about. This was great to see. Like, this is super good. You heard the teleport, immediate reaction, just turn around, bam. Everything was perfect until right here. I'm not sure if your teammate had the healing, had like thrown you off, but either way, I think right there you should be holding your teleport because your teammates were still for some reason looking here. It's not entirely your fault, and it might have just been a misconfusion, but definitely just keep holding down here. And if you die from your side, it's just unfortunate that your teammates weren't holding you. But, you know, good reaction overall to seeing that there's people behind you. And, yeah. I just wanted to skip ahead to the second half pistol round real quick. I saw something here that might help you, so definitely wanted to point it out.
God damn. Okay, never mind.
I would definitely say try not to start in the open like that, especially when barriers are down, just because you can get shot pretty quick right there.
Heal me.
So right here, you could have used your utility that you bought and slowed them down from pushing up short A as quick as they do. You have your smoke, you have your poison still, and you also have your wall. So, I mean, you could have just thrown your wall down at a quick angle to the left and blocked them off from entering sight. At least when they run through the smoke screen, you can shoot them. But, yeah, I just wanted to point that out real quick. So, I'm going to skip forward a little bit, about 30 seconds into the round. It's still pistol round, but I wanted to point this out real quick for you. So right there, I would definitely say take your time with your shots rather than just trying to spam, especially knowing that both of them are there. You can also utilize the burst fire on the classic up close. It does a lot of damage and can generally one-shot people. And if you burst the first person and then you can shoot the second person also, like there's a high chance you kill both of them there if you're taking your time with your shots. So I would definitely recommend slowing it down just a little bit, but other than that, it was pretty good round played. This is the round right after pistol. I wanted to talk about your util usage here. I like it really early on. You had a smart idea with throwing it down and playing around the one way right here. But instead of immediately popping your smoke screen, try to let your toxins build up so that way your wall doesn't expire as quick. And then I also wanted to talk about when you rotate here to bathroom and you guys have spike like that, you still don't use your wall again. You've only used it once early round, and then you don't use it after that.
We are set to camp for life.
So I would definitely utilize using the toxins to your advantage, like popping it for a little bit, and then
One
shutting
enemy
it down,
remaining.
and then not doing it again. But yeah, I just wanted to point that out. I also wanted to say that along with using your wall, you should try to set up your Viper smokes on choke points or any cool one ways you can find. You can generally find videos where you can set up a Viper smoke on top of a box, and you can get a cool little one way you can see their feet, or you can see the outlines of them on the sides. There's a bunch of cool ones, but other than that, you can also set up your smokes to block off choke points like bathroom, also short A, and other places like U-Haul and site if you want to play around them. But definitely try to utilize that to your advantage also, along with her wall. So this is a couple rounds later. I just want to talk about your early round spacing here with your teammate.
Enemy spotted. Enemy spotted.
I'm gonna early rotate.
So right there, when the jet initiated contact with the first person outside bathroom, you kind of stood in her way, which caused her to take damage. So try not to stand on top of your teammates. If you're going to fight with her, play a little closer or in front of her rather than on top of her to her right or her left. Also, it happened again with the Sova when he shock darted you. So be careful just standing on top of your teammates because you took a lot of damage from that initial fight and then ended up dying from it when the jet dashed in. So definitely try to watch your spacing with your teammates. Alright, so after watching your demo in full, I have a couple of takeaways, my main points for right now for you to work on personally. Really need to work on your crosshair placement. You're aiming at the leg/feet 90% of the time, and you should really shoot to aim for like the torso at the minimum right now to at least practice, or just start aiming for the head and working on that a lot. That'll help you a ton in your gameplay. I also think you should work on your spacing between you and your teammates. A lot of times you were caught on top of them or getting stuck on top of them because you're just literally right next to them. So try to give yourself a little bit of space between you guys so you guys can move fluently and clear stuff together. I also think you should try working on your util usage. A lot of times you didn't use your utility or rarely used it. Your utility is pretty crucial to your kit. And I also never saw you use your ult, and your ult is very powerful because you can see the enemy's outline from a certain range whenever they're inside your poison. So you should definitely try using that a lot more too because it's super impactful. The next thing I want to address is the amount you use your ADS. You should definitely try to rely on your hip fire more than anything else. You can ADS at long ranges for sure, and obviously depending on your weapon, but definitely try to work on using your hip fire a lot more. Also, you need to pay more attention to your minimap. There's a lot of times you got flanked, and they made a noise or a footstep, and if you would have just looked at your map, you would have saw that it wasn't your teammate, and you can turn around and get a free kill like that. Try to take your time on pistol rounds because it can be really effective with your shots and your bullets not going everywhere because the classic can be inaccurate when you start spamming it. and try to utilize burst a lot more too. Pretty effective up close, and you can do a decent bit of damage. And the last thing I wanted to address is your moving and shooting. You tend to move and shoot a lot, which is really bad in this game because when you do that, your bullets become wildly inaccurate. So you should really try to come to like a stop and maybe crouch, or just come to a stop and spray rather than running and spraying, because it just is insanely bad in this game. But yeah, thank you, and I just want to say thank you for submitting your VOD, and thank you for working with me in GameSense. I'm glad to have the opportunity to work with you. And if you have any questions, please feel free to send them through GameSense, and I'll answer them whenever possible. And I hope to work with you in the future. Thank you. Have a good one.